to my YouTube channel, Mexicanas en el Mundo. I'm Alexandra, a Mexican living in Switzerland. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a Mexican pastry bread called conchas. Conchas in English means seashells. They are small sweet pastries, which the top coating looks like a seashell, which is why it gets its name, and the coating is sugar-based, and it's either chocolate or vanilla usually, the traditional flavors. I already have all the ingredients weighed and laid out here to make the video shorter, but in the description you can find everything in a detailed way. I'll also include links of the things I'm using in case you like anything or need it, that way you know where to get it. So let's get our hands dirty and start preparing this delicious bread. So here are the ingredients you will need to make your conchas. First, you're going to need half a cup of milk. Next, half a cup of water. 1/3 of a cup of granulated sugar. 2.5 teaspoons of dry yeast. 1/3 of a cup of unsalted softened butter. I use melted butter. I honestly prefer it. It's easier to handle. 2 large eggs, the biggest ones you can find, use those. 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour, measured over here. 1 teaspoon of salt. And as an optional ingredient, you can add half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. For this recipe, I won't be using that. I will instead be using vanilla flavoring, so I'll add 2 tablespoons of that, but you can add the flavor of your choice. Okay, so the first step to making your conchas is activating your yeast. I already did it, but I'll explain what I did. You need a bowl, and in that bowl you will add half a cup of warm water, 2.5 teaspoons of dry yeast, and 2 tablespoons of sugar. You just sprinkle that all into the water. You don't need to mix, it'll all foam in. Speaking about foam, that's how you know if your yeast activated. It should take about 10 minutes, maybe more. You can leave it longer. When the time passes, you'll see all the yeast foamed up. That means that your yeast is working, that it can be used for your bread. If there is no foam, then you need to throw that out and start a new batch. So our yeast, it's been about 12 minutes, I guess. Our yeast is activated. As you can see, it's foamed up very nicely. So we're going to start making our dough. We're going to add into our mixer bowl, we're going to add our activated yeast. After that, we're going to add the milk in there, the sugar, the butter, which is over here, our eggs, which I already cracked, the salt, which I also already measured out, the vanilla, and the last part to add is the flour. We're not going to add the whole amount of flour, we're only going to add half of it, and then we're going to start mixing it all up with the hook attachment from our mixer. So all our ingredients are in the bowl. As you can see, I added the hook attachment. We're gonna let them run. It should be about 10 minutes. You start seeing your dough forming. I'll start it in low speed so the flour doesn't go all over the place. And I have the rest of my flour here ready to be adding little by little, in thirds approximately. And let's start this. Okay, our dough is done. Here's how it's supposed to be. You know your dough is finished when it has an elastic consistency. If it's not stretchy, then you just need to knead it longer, whether it's by hand or by machine, whichever method you used. Ours was a bit sticky and wet, so we needed to add about 7 tablespoons of flour so that it would get to this consistency. Now it's fine, it's perfect, it's nice and stretchy. So the next thing to do is you leave it in your bowl and you're gonna let it sit so it can rise and double in size. I have a steam oven, so I'm gonna pop mine in there, but if you don't have that, what you usually do is you put a damp cloth over it and you just let it sit on your counter on a warm area for about 60 minutes. It can be longer. The longer it's there, it's usually better. In my case, I'm gonna put it in my steam oven for 45 minutes and then we can go and check how it is. Okay, so now I'm going to put my dough in the oven. As I mentioned before, I have a steam oven. So basically what I need to do on my oven is I click on special applications, then I go down to proof dough, and I select the time that I want to put on my dough. I'm going to put 45 minutes. Hopefully with that the dough is doubled in size. And it's ready. Okay, while our dough is rising, I'm going to start getting the ingredients ready to make the topping for our conchas. For this, you need 2/3 of a cup of multi-purpose flour, or all-purpose flour, sorry. 2/3 of a cup of powdered sugar, 1/2 cup of softened butter, and for flavoring, I'm going to make both chocolate and vanilla conchas, so I'm going to need 2 tablespoons of cacao powder and also 2 tablespoons of vanilla. Okay, so what I did was I added the 2/3 cup of powdered sugar, and the 1/2 cup of butter. We are going to cream them together until they become fluffy and it's a less dense texture. Our butter has been creamed, it's nice and fluffy, so now the next step is to add the flour and the vanilla extract. Okay, the topping for conchas is done. The consistency kind of is like making cookie dough, it's kind of similar. So the next step here is you separate it into portions. One is going to be your vanilla topping, and the other one would be the chocolate topping. If you don't want to make a chocolate topping, then you don't need to separate it. But if you do, then you just add some cacao powder to this. You can mix it by hand. You no longer need to use the mixer. Okay, our dough has doubled in portion, so now the next step is to gently punch it down, and then we're going to divide it into 12 equal portions. I divided my dough in 2 parts. It's easier that way. What I did with the parts is I made 2 logs. I cut them in half first, and then you cut it to get 3 pieces out of each half. And the next step is rolling them into balls. I already did that with half of the little portions. And basically you just roll, and you fold over so that you have a smooth area on the top part. Like that, you have your round concha. Okay, so I already made the vanilla conchas. Now we're going to make the chocolate covering for them. I cut the dough in 6 equal pieces, and all you have to do is roll it out into a ball. The chocolate dough, if you decide to make chocolate, is a bit more crumbly, but with the heat from your hands, it's manageable. So you just start pressing it down, flatten it onto your parchment paper. And you're going to use a concha cutter. This is what you usually use to make the design on the top of the bread so it looks like a seashell. You press very slightly, and there's the design. You help yourself with one of these and slide it off, and you put it on top of your bread. Okay, for those of you who don't have a concha cutter, you basically do the same thing. You get your cover for your concha, you press it out, you pick it up, and you put it over the bread ball. And with the help of a knife, I'm using a paring knife. You can make any design you want. I'm going to make a diamond shape. Okay, our conchas are finished. They have their topping, their design on them, and we have to let them stand and rest for another 45 minutes, so again they can grow a bit. So our conchas are ready to go into the oven. It's going to be at 190 degrees Celsius or 375 Fahrenheit. They will be in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes. And if you have a steam oven like me, then it's recommended that you put a steam burst in the beginning. Okay, so our conchas are finished. They're beautiful. It's always nice to have them with a nice hot cup of hot chocolate. If it's Mexican hot chocolate, even better. I put in the description the link so you know where to buy your concha cutter. And here, look. You see how nice and fluffy and airy that is? Let's have a taste. Mmm.